Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, I see cruises for Norwegian Cruise Line for sale out of Miami in March. And from all accounts of what I'm hearing, there's no way that's going to happen. In fact, they're probably going to sail in Europe before the United States. Right now, Norwegian Cruise Line still is selling cruises in Miami in March on the Joy and on the Encore, two of their biggest ships. That's the biggest ships basically they have. They're the brightest, the newest, the shiniest, and this is what they want to show off to everybody when they start. Sounds absolutely exactly right? You want to put your best foot forward when you start cruising again. However, we all know there's this framework that you have to pass from the CDC in order to sail. And one of the things it says is you have to be green for 28 days before you're allowed to apply even to do the test cruises. Let's forget about passengers, paying passengers. This is just to apply for the test cruises. And that means you have to have your crew isolated on board for 14 days. They all have to be here in the United States, etc., etc. And all this timeline that's in there. Well, right now, the Joy and the Encore aren't even in North America. So they haven't even started that 28-day process. In fact, the Joy right now is on its way from Manila, and it's bringing crews over into Europe to distribute more cruise line passengers. Also, we have the Escape doing the exact same thing from India. They're bringing more crew on. So as they're making this trip and crew members are getting on and off, that resets the clock for how many days crew members are allowed on the ship and have to be quarantined before the CDC will grant them those test cruises. So it goes on, and right now we have those ships are still sitting in Europe. Now here's the reason I say that they may start, well, there's a couple reasons. They may start in Europe before starting in the United States, because coming into March and April, that's the start of the cruise season in Europe. And so if the ships are already there, and the ships already have their crew members on board, and the countries start opening up there with way less restrictions than they do here in North America with the framework for sailing issued by the CDC, then why would you not keep your big ships there to start sailing the sooner that sooner the better, right? The more money you can finally start to make, you're going to try and do that. So if that's the peak season, why not have your big ships there, since the crew and everybody's already on board and you don't have this whole guideline to have to follow and hoops to jump through like we have here in North America. It kind of makes sense from a cruise line perspective. Now here in the United States, they do have a few ships sitting here, 5 in total. One of them is Pride of America that basically just does Hawaii. And then they have 3 ships that are actually green right now, but they are much smaller ships. They're not the big, the Escape isn't there, the Blizz isn't there, the Encore isn't there, the Joy isn't there. Their big new ships aren't in the United States. So if they do manage to start sailing, it'll end up probably being on a very small ship and not their biggest and best. And I don't know how well that's going to go over when you have, Royal Caribbean issuing, bringing out like Oasis class ships and Quantum class ships at the beginning. That may actually, when you think about it, that may pay to their benefit because people may not want to get on the large ships. But if you have a crew, a ship that holds 6,000 people, but they only put 2,000 on it, that ship will seem a lot more empty than a ship that holds 2,000 passengers and only has 1,000 on it. So yeah, it's highly possible. It could go either way. But as far as those cruises sailing in March, I really don't see how that can possibly happen. If the crew isn't on board yet, and they haven't even started sailing into the United States, then they have that 28-day framework, and then they have to pass the test cruises, and then they have to organize everything in the cruise ports and the destinations. It just seems like a straight uphill battle. So I'm afraid if you're one of those people hoping to sail in March on either of those two ships, I really hate to bring bad news, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think you're going to be lucky, we're all going to be lucky, if we're able to see 2, 3, 4 ships total, not per cruise line, total, sail in March. That would be, by the way things are looking right now, that would be a good start. I hate to say that. When you have, 300 cruise ships across the world, and we're hoping for 4 in the biggest cruise market in the world. That's not saying a whole lot of good news for everybody. I'm even concerned about cruises way into June, July, August. I have a cruise coming up in June of next year, and I'm concerned about that one. A lot of that depends on how the vaccine rollout is going and what our numbers look by then. But, it's just sitting here waiting and waiting and waiting. But when you look at the cruises that are still available, can you actually see them sailing on those ships? I don't see how it's going to happen. It just doesn't seem logistically possible with the conditions they have to follow to restart the cruising industry. Well, let me know what you guys think. What do you think? Out of 1 out of 10, 10 being, yes, they're going to sail in March on those ships, and 1 being, there's no way they're going to be sailing on those ships. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Do you think there's any way? Do you think absolutely they have it in plan, they have it in place? Those crew members are going over there because they're going to bring them back and everything's going to be good. They have it all built out in their timeline. I don't think anything's on a timeline anymore right now for the cruising industry. Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. We'll see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world. Hit that subscribe button. Till next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.